Welcome to Strategy and Solidarity Pod, the podcast, an act of revolutionary defiance and the celebration of things that bring us comfort, solace, joy, and sometimes frustration as we work to reclaim our humanity together. I am Carlos Kareem Wyndham.
And I'm Teresa Logan.
How is your nervous system, dear Teresa, my friend?
I'm doing pretty good. Drinking water, eating food, going outside to breathe air when it's not raining a lot. That's pretty good. How about you?
Well, I'm okay. That described maintenance, though. That didn't describe how your nervous system is.
Yeah, I feel like my nervous system is well resourced, and I'm
all right. Beautiful.
Doing well.
Love it. Love it.
How's your nervous system?
It was fantastic. It was fantastic, and then I got a little jarred, but now I'm good again. So there you go. Be the octopus. When in doubt, be the octopus.
What does that mean?
Oh, they're smarter than we are and more flexible, more intelligent, a little bit mean. But, so I'm being the octopus, being flexible.
Being flexible. Got you.
With all of that, here we are. You just celebrated your graduation. Congratulations.
What did I graduate from?
Did you not graduate from 43?
I had not considered it a graduation, but yes, I did just have a birthday, and I did just turn 44.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Do you put on like a cap and gown every time you have a birthday and sing a little pomp and circumstance?
It's not pomp and circumstance. It's sort of like pomp and circumstances, black pomp and circumstances. Stevie Wonder's Happy Birthday, which I'm not going to sing because I don't want to get sued or tagged or charged. Yeah. What was your pomp? What was your circumstance?
It was a pretty chill day with my kids. A lot of
A lot of what?
Self-editing.
A lot of self-editing.
It was a chill day. I think there were a lot of dreams by my children who probably also have ADHD of what they would have liked to have done for my birthday, and the actual implementation and follow through on those goals of what they wish they would have been able to do for me for my birthday was not really what happened. So there was like the beginning of some cleaning of the house that never quite got finished.
Okay. All right.
But I made a choice in the morning. I was like, I'm just going to focus on the small, simple joys that I can find in this day. And I did. And we had a lovely rest of our day.
I love that. What were some of your small, simple joys?
Manage your expectations. Hugs from my children. We spent an afternoon together in which there was very minimal bickering, which is, again, 2 of my 3 children are Scorpios. So small miracle in and of itself. We had some nice desserts. It was good.
Nice. I like that. Most excellent. Well, you certainly are closing your mouth and drinking coffee, and so here goes a very natural transition. Watch this. Hey.
You have like an art in making the transitions extra awkward. Just by like highlighting them, especially.
I'm so autistic. I had not I'm like, look, if you're not going to do something,
what you want to talk about? You're like, we'll figure it out. I'm like, okay, well, I guess you got a plan. Let's go.
Well, we had 2 topics, and so I figured we would talk about them. So who's first?
Let's hear what you got.
All right, let's do that.
Today?
Huh?
What's on your mind today?
Oh, well, it truly is a question for me. Not even a question for me. A thought from me around accessing and practicing some of the tools and trying to reach out to folks who have gotten to a place of fixed and fixed determinism about what the way forward is from here, right? The only way for this is the way you can do it. Everything else is unethical. If you're not doing this ain't the shit. And there was a I believe I'm going to stay in this position because I really do believe this. A good actor, a good faith challenge to the idea of the sort of work in which we, you and I in particular, but also folks who do public work toward liberation, how that can be ethical and not part of the problem if fascism is dependent upon capitalism. And capitalism is the problem, as we do articulate. And so that would be the most articulate way to say or to bring to your table, to our discussion, that very challenge. And it did really seem good faith, and so I did interact with it a little bit. But I'd be curious to hear how you're feeling about that idea and what kind of skills are brought to bear for you.
I have lots of ideas, and I understand all the words that you said, but I'm not 100% clear on what we're talking about. Is this a conversation you're having with someone in real life, on the internet? What is the context? Not without giving away things that you can't share here, but
I can share.
I'm not quite following what the actual question is.
I can share. No. We got some. We have a fan. We got some fan mail, and this particular person is very deeply engaged, and it felt like from an honest place initially, right? And I believe it is still one, because ultimately, even after even after sharing that, like, listen, I hear what you're saying, and right, it was, yeah, well, still it's on the spectrum, blah, 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 blah. And so anything that is on the spectrum toward capitalism.
What was their critique?
Oh, well,
what were they critiquing?
They were critiquing the idea of having a conflict resolution for anti-fascists offering a public one.
We're asking for a sliding scale donation.
Yes, that's the one for which we're asking for donations.
Yeah. Well, it's a fundamental misunderstanding of what capitalism is, first of all. Like, exchange of services for money or barter or whatever it might be is not inherently capitalism. Now, if we're running a factory and we had like 20 different people running 20 different conflict resolution for anti-fascist people, and we're paying them slave wages and pocketing all the money for ourselves, that would make us capitalists. Running a thing where we are exchanging our labor in exchange for like $10, a little bit more. Some people are paying like the solidarity rate, where we ask you if you could afford to pay more. Some people have paid us $99 for that to support our work in the world, because we got bills to pay and children to feed, right? That's not what capitalism is. Not money. Money does not equal capitalism. Barter, exchange, craftsmanship, trading your services or your, the thing that you produce with your own hands or your own mouth, if it's us using words. That is not capitalism. That is trade or commerce. There's lots of ways you can use money as an effective tool. It's a much more efficient tool for moving energy around than straight barter. It takes a lot of work to find the thing you need if you can only trade what you already have access to. That's not inherently capitalism. There was all kinds of trades with all kinds of different forms of currency all over the world before capitalism. because it's an efficient way to move energy around. So that's my answer to that.
Yeah.
And it just so happens I was reading the Communist Manifesto over the weekend. As one does when you're doing a conflict resolution for anti-fascist workshop. I was like, let me get back to basics. And really, I was looking for something about Rosa Luxemburg. I wanted like a good biography, but there isn't one out there that I could find. At least not one that was available. It is an audiobook because I do not have time to sit down and read a book. I wish that I did. People can judge me all they want to. I got 3 kids trying to run a business based on donations to keep my children housed and fed in a collapsing economy. And I don't have time to sit down and read a book with my eyes and do nothing else at the same time. I can listen to a book that's recorded while I do laundry and clean the kitchen and cook dinner and do all the other things I got to do.
Reading is reading. So what were you reading?
The Communist Manifesto. And well, because there is, there's all this like philosophical back and forth and left versus right, blah, 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 blah. And I am kind of over it. But I was like, let me go back and read the actual thing itself, start from basics. And again, I was looking for something on Rosa Luxemburg. There wasn't a lot. She had a couple works in this like highlights of, communist, socialist, and anarchist philosophy book that was available. So I started reading that, and it kicks off with the Communist Manifesto by Marx and Engels. I was like, well, let me get back to basics and read to it. And the very first line told me everything I needed to know. I did read the whole thing, but the history of all hitherto existing society is the history of class struggles. And then it's just like, okay, right? So it's basically, I think, 2 autistic graduate students who probably smoked a lot of weed or cocaine or whatever they had access to in the day, who had a vision and decided they had the solution to all of the world's problems and had no perspective beyond like what they immediately understood about the history of Europe. And so like that narrow vision of just only understanding that Eurocentric perspective, it makes the whole rest of it like, yeah, for the 150 years ago, this was in Europe, this was absolutely revolutionary. And so many people around the world then treated it like they were prophets or this was some like unquestionable theory because they talked about it like it was an unquestionable theory. There's so much and only and always and never. And it's like there's just so many declarations of universal truths that are not universal in here. And I get very frustrated with people, especially the folks on the left who still literally claim to be communists and that sort of thing, because of the lack of nuance and willingness to look at the actual impacts of structures on people's lives. Right. And I was one of these people as a college student, very into like Marxist theory and that sort of thing, who went to Cuba. And then I married into a Cuban family, and then I had to really contend with the impacts of Cuban communist government on Cuban people. And I will defend the Cuban government, the Cuban Revolution, and that's achieved incredible, incredible things with very limited resources while having the world's greatest superpower at its doorstep, trying to dismantle it at every turn. And also has created many problems, did not solve everything perfectly, and created a lot of hardship, repressed a lot of people that didn't need repressed. There's places where there were absolutely missteps because they're determined to follow this authoritarian approach. And I think that's where it starts to break down, and so being able to take ourselves out of like dogmatic dedication to one ideology or another and actually like what actually works for our people, what actually helps us survive this moment, instead of just like my way is the right way and I must prove it, with arms. And that's part of the part where they lost. I mean, the breakdown of the proletariat and the bourgeoisie or the capitalists and the working class is still spot on, right? You can still see the dynamics they're describing today. But the whole part about armed revolution is the only way, that just keeps us stuck in these patterns of domination and control and one people trying to impose their way on everybody else instead of a place of collaboration, instead of a place of like creation, instead of a place of working in concert with all life on Earth, right? Like I think there's just a different way we need to be moving now that's more about pre-colonial indigenous life ways of knowing that they didn't know about because they were, doing whatever they were doing in their dorm rooms and coming up with a vision for the world based on a very narrow perspective.
Right, in a moment that
So
they were in as well, right? I mean, that's the thing. Ooh, look at that. Just knocking the screen around. Sorry about that. Uh yeah, just I mean, to your point, right? We don't live then, right? And I was thinking about this as well, right? Because we do live in time. We do live where we live when we live. Absolutely. Also, as folks, and again, the uh scientists and western culture is playing with their games of quantum theories and quantum physics and this and that, and their idea that, well, maybe we live in multiple times all at the same time, and timey time and timey wimey, and maybe I'm Doctor Who. And it's like, listen, how about this? Maybe
maybe.
time lives inside you. These ideas are yours. They're in you. You don't there you can't go there. They're inside of you, right? Those times that have existed past live inside of us. The future, which we cannot know, lives inside of us. And so to be where we are now and make a decision based on the moment in which we live about what is the only so and so going forward. This is the only path that is possible. Like, that's just, I don't know. That sounds to me like they're being a tortoise,
What does that mean?
very inflexible,
Mm-hmm.
very hard shell. Doesn't seem like there's going to be, like, you'll be able to move, you'll live a very long time, everything else. Guess what? I can get out of a jar, be the octopus.
Or they're being a tank who thinks that they're a tortoise and
Seems that.
running over everyone else and causing harm everywhere you go because you believe you're the only one who has the right answer, and it's your mission in life to force everyone to agree with you and do what you want them to do.
Or they're being a human. Or a white man whose entire philosophies and vision is built on a society that was built for them. Therefore, every idea about how they can move forward in order to find their freedom is about being on top of something else and some weird masculine ideas about dominance, as you were saying.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's been one of my takeaways from the work we've been doing in the conflict resolution for anti-fascists is really looking at where am I spending my time and energy and to what purpose, right? Because that's one of the things we offered was this framework for thinking about we need different strategies depending on where we and the person we're in conflict are in the spectrum between like the fascist leaders and the anti-fascist leaders. And most of us maybe we're like accomplices, maybe we're more just in like active allies or supporters who are not super active, like understanding where we are in the spectrum. And that me as someone who's like, you know actively engaged in my lane but not in the streets every day, spending my time either fighting with someone who's not politically active, trying to tell them and shame them into why they should be, or fighting with someone who is a fascist sympathizer but's also not actually actively causing any harm that I'm aware of. It's probably not a good use of my time, but I think that is where a lot of our time, because of social media, has gotten wrapped up, is arguing with people who are not actually taking much action in this battle of ideas in our brains. It's so abstract and disconnected from the real world and the impacts on people's lives. And so for me, just when I've run into people on the internet, I spend a lot less time engaging with people to try to convince anyone of anything. Sometimes I'm like, I try not to offer unsolicited advice, but here's a resource that's been useful to me, or try to give people validation, understanding when they share things they're struggling with. I try to offer feedback on occasion, you know, but I'll do it once or twice. Like, oh, okay, carry on. I'm not going to sit there and try to convince someone, or these places in the past where I would have gone on for 20 replies to a thread to try to prove that I'm right and they're wrong. I'm just not investing my energy that way anymore. For what? What am I accomplishing there? Then it's just about ego and this battle of ideas that ideas do matter. They do matter, but the action is so much more important than the ideas. And a lot of times our beliefs follow our actions more than our actions follow our beliefs.
Yeah. Well, and knowing, starting to understand that, I think, is the difference between knowledge and wisdom, right? Which does not change the level of frustration, the level of urgency, um, any of that, but it does change uh, the strategy, and it changes the tools. Absolutely. If you got the if you are both as untethered, and I do not say that as a diminutive in any way, right? I'm talking about to the system. I'm talking about to all of the things that are declared part of capitalism. If you have freedom from that, and you have the tools, physically, mentally, spiritually, to be able to be in the streets right now, in the places that are needed the most as support. Awesome. That, hey, you know what? Godspeed. Godspeed. If the interest is to be the cutest or the rightest or the whatever, I mean, that for me, that just feels like we're stuck in this weird, like, Ben Shapiro lane that is about trying to elicit more alarm and create more hysteria. And at this point, I don't know that we can create more alarm. I don't know that that's something that you or I is really capable of, given the state of the world.
Well, to what end? Because there's a problematic belief many people hold that if you scare people enough, then they will take action, and it actually does not work. Like all the research
No,
proves, that's not what actually compels people to action.
no.
And so figuring out what we're actually trying to accomplish. And I understand it. I myself feel that way sometimes, right? Like I want to compel people to action. And there is a place of, these sneaky ways of, it's not just white supremacy. It is white supremacy, absolutely, but it's also just like a broader supremacy mindset that comes from this inferiority superiority complex that colonialism and white supremacy have woven into most of us in one way or another, of like, but I need to be right so you can be wrong, so I can feel more valid in my sense of self. And that just dominates so many of our relationships and so much of our discourse of like trying to prove I'm right and you're wrong, or trying to prove we're right and they're wrong, right? In our coalitions, when they're built around we have a shared identity and we're the ones who are right, like the communists, we are the only ones who are truly willing to. Horrible things have happened because of capitalism. Horrible things have happened in communist revolutions, right? There's no shortage of atrocities on either side. And when there's authoritarianism and you're deciding that you have the one right way and you're willing to sacrifice everybody else's lives to prove that you're right, you're not right anymore. Or you might be very, very right as an authoritarian and willing to, we talked about this last time, right? Willing to just sacrifice hundreds or thousands or millions of other people's lives to prove that you're right and you're superior, right? I'm not interested in any ideology on any side of any spectrum that's about sacrificing other people's lives to prove my own superiority or to prove my group's superiority. That is not energy that I'm interested in at this point in time. I'm not following anyone who's like taking that hard of a line on any form of ideology. It does not serve life. I'm interested in what serves life, what is pragmatic, what serves us in this moment to help us survive and create something in which we can all thrive on the other side. And that is not a single unified ideology of which we're willing to murder other people over.
I mean, broken down to the very, very, bare bones concepts that you just spoke to, right? You look at all of that, and these glorious ideas about defense, about how to fight, about when to fight, about where to fight, and these Luke Skywalkering in battles of which we spoke before, right? And the thing is this, like it doesn't work. It's never worked. If it worked, we'd be done. It'd be wrapped up, right? Like it just does not work. It's not a thing that on the broad spectrum taking up arms against a system in which they can turn you into pink mist is going to somehow be successful. You can't do that. You're not going to win against that. Not if you're trying to do fisticuffs. What are you going to fight robots and drones? What are we talking about even? It doesn't make sense. Where we have power is in collective action. Where we have power is through collective movement. Where we have power is through taking care of each other. Where we have power is in our immediate family, community, the constructs that you are currently in, and taking whatever skills you have and offering it to the cause, right? As I was talking about the very same the initiating thing that brought me to this thought, because I really was I'm not trying to shame the person who brought it up. I'm not even saying their name. I think it was on an ad, and they weren't being goofy, and they weren't trying to be the funniest, or they weren't trying to whatever, all of which I love to do. We know this, right? And if they do think, if there is someone on the right who thinks that we really are ridiculous and can somehow say that in a way that becomes funny, right? Which is a problem that the right has. They're just not funny, and they're never going to be. It's not funny. It's not. You can't punch. You can't punch up at anything. There's nothing above you, so there's nothing to put unless you're, I guess, God, and then you're doing that Ricky Gervais shit. But like, it's not. There's nothing there, right? And so, if someone's really willing to truly and honest, whoa, that's bumpy. I like that. No, I like it. If someone's willing to truly and honestly engage in even the thought exercise, right, for a moment, right, I'll give you a, hey, you know what, I'm inviting you into the conversation, come check it out. I'd love for you to check out what we're doing. It's not we're not saying go negotiate with fascists. We're saying for anti-fascists, we have to be able to negotiate with each other and figure this thing out. And that's when the response was, well, hey, it's still capitalism. I said, okay, all right.
That's not.
And that's where
you don't understand what capitalism is.
Yeah. And that's where I very quickly get to the place of like, and it's true, right? Again, autistic. When I say things, sometimes, even when I'm not trying to be snippy, it can come off as snippy, which is why it's been on my mind. And I talked about it a little bit before, and now I'm talking about it a little bit more because I want to be very clear. I know. And I'm autistic. I got to be very clear that when I say, well, listen, best of luck posting on the social medias. I do hope it moves us forward. I mean that from the bottom of my heart. I am not suggesting, oh, boo to you, because you're commenting on, like, listen, you're also commenting on a Facebook ad, which is weird because you're on Facebook. And also that means you have a phone in your hand. And so you're probably on Wi-Fi. But okay, yeah, no, capitalism's bad. Okay, what are we talking about right now, right? It really is an exchange of energy and an exchange of ideas that I'm after. And if I can offer that idea in the most generous way, right? Certainly we're not offering free labor to everybody. That's not the goal. We can't. But by spreading the message through the podcast, which is accessible to more people, right? Hoping that people will invite themselves into some of the thought exercises around how to localize their action toward their own liberation. That's really what ultimately the goal is. And so if it gets you free to like win the discussion, you win. But
Yeah.
but like I gotta go because there's shit to do.
Yeah, we have no relationship with this person. Like similar to you, I'll engage with someone. I like an exchange of ideas. I'm all here for some iron sharpens iron. I'll go all day long because I like it, it helps me think through my thoughts and consider what I'm missing and where I can improve and what analysis I can strengthen or where I can be more thoughtful or considerate of experiences and perspectives I don't share. But sometimes people just want to be right, and if they're just like, yeah, but, and they just always want to be right, then okay, carry on, be right. We're not capitalists. Mark Zuckerberg is a capitalist, right? The people who own the means of production, which in this case is the social media platforms, are the capitalists. The people
The
that own
dipshits who
this
want
thing
who
that we're recording
charge
on, the
us
people who
for verification. You
Zoom,
want to charge us for verification.
and
Hey, it's me. I know it's me. You don't
and
need to charge me to say that.
beyond the CEOs and the staff of these companies, it's the shareholders who are investing in these corporate structures with little to no accountability or care for what outcomes they're producing in the world besides profit for their pocketbooks. So like
And they're
understand
the
what capitalism
real
actually
money.
is. Maybe go
Yeah.
read the Communist Manifesto, the breakdown, and all you do is you trade out bourgeoisie for capitalists, and then it will make more sense if you don't know what bourgeoisie means. But if you do that, then you can just the breakdown of the mechanisms of the rise of the working class, that's what the proletariat means, and the capitalist class is very, very clear, and it is still relevant to today. It's still a little bit patriarchal and very condescending, definitely very Eurocentric with
Very coked out.
very autistic in that, like, yes, but only and always, and there's only one way, there's like a
Yes,
little
and
bit
also
much.
you're right because it's
And
seriously, it's like a written conversation of two cokeheads swearing to God that they've just written the perfect script and they're
yeah,
about to go conquer Hollywood.
and they changed the world with that script.
Yeah.
Like it wasn't not impactful. They changed the world. Modern history looks very different than it would have if they had not written this and it didn't exist. For better and for worse. There's been a lot of great things that came out of it and a lot of harm, as with most things in human life. But yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, I'm not suggesting that Tarantino did not normalize the fetishization of feet. That's not at all where I'm going.
I don't.
They've had an impact.
About. Okay. Things don't have to be perfect to learn something from them. I can't.
Tarantino writes.
I'm trying to hold on to my train of thought. Please
stop
trying to derail.
I was answering your question. Go ahead, please.
Things don't have to be perfect to be of value. I can look at the Communist Manifesto and realize it's something written 150 years ago. And then I can see where all the problems in the thinking are from my perspective today and still say, and the way that they break down the mechanisms of how the capitalist class were the revolutionary class in so many ways because they kept revolutionizing the means of production and changing the format of society. There's still incredible value. It's they're very sharp in a lot of things they break down. And then I can see where the downsides are. I take that approach with most things in life, which is like, even if it's imperfect, even if this person is problematic, there is still something I can learn here. It may or may not be what they're trying to teach me or what they want me to take away from it, but there's always something to be learned. And with that kind of curiosity and willingness to like learn the lesson that's available instead of the one I wish I was being taught or the one I wish I was true, but just like, what is the lesson that's here for me to learn? Then there's, something to learn everywhere I look.
Yep. That was the lesson that John Coltrane took from Alice Coltrane. And was one of the reasons that in the explorations of humanity that they took through the creation of their musics, a labor for which they were compensated, they were able to leave a legacy that changed the world in ways that created a movement toward openness and inclusiveness and bringing in more thought and bringing in more possibility. And that's what's truly beautiful. How about this? How about let's take a break before I diddle myself. And I've had a lot of coffee. Okay. And
let's take a break. We didn't need to know that.
Well, now we do. And we'll come back for a little bit more right after that and get to our our other
Sounds
thought
good.
and idea.
All right.
All right.
Sounds good.
I
You
could
could
also
cut that
clip that out.
as a clip just for the ASMR people.
Exactly. Had the same thought. I was like, oh, wait a minute now.
I'm not
Let's
one of
make
them.
some
I don't
real
need to
money.
hear it.
I'll be a capitalist.
Again, not a capitalist. Unless you're exploiting other people's labor and hoarding the profit for yourself, you're not a capitalist. Do you own the means of production?
That's what I'm going to do. What I'm going to do is have a factory. Wait, hold on. Listen to me. I am building a factory in which I am going to be giving away sips of coffee with just a little bit of salt in it so that you have to keep drinking more. I'm going to have 5,000 children sat around a table, and they all will have isolated microphones in which you will hear over and over again.
No. Probably exists
And
somewhere.
I'm going to charge people like Quentin Tarantino, who popularized foot fetishes through his filmmaking. And I'm going to get very, very rich by exploiting their thirst. Capitalisms!
That would be capitalism. Also disturbing.
It would be very disturbing, very disgusting. Hey, as we're returning to the conversation, I wanted to share just one more example of some of our fan mail and how I dealt with it. This was from Ken Lefevre. I would like, again, their name is Kenneth, Kenny, Ken Lefevre. Can be found on your socials if you want to find them. Don't harass them. Do not do that. Don't be mean to anybody. Ken Lefevre. I put up a little post correcting myself and getting the exact information exactly right. And the point still stood in what was said, but wanted to get the information correct for the people. And so I offered those corrections publicly. And while I did make the mistake, and I do own the mistake, I also corrected the mistake and did so very publicly. Ken Lefevre offered this very, very, very insightful what an idiot, to which I offered, right? So there's another way to deal with it sometimes.
Okay.
That's another way to deal with it sometimes.
Sure. Okay. I was curious why you decided to post that clip of the whole conversation we had.
Well, I mean, that's the thing. It's like, you got to own it. You know, you got to own it. You step in a bear trap. You got it. Listen, you don't gotta, I guess.
A lot of people don't.
I guess you could just bulldoze through the fucking truth and just like keep fucking going. Like, I don't know.
Like,
I'm not interested. Thanks.
Like anyone in Trump's immediate circle.
You know, and the thing is, I do recognize, and I hope that people recognize of me. I mean, could you guess it by looking at me if you're looking, or listening if you are, that as a queerdo artist, autistic, without ADHD, and many, many, many comorbidities that go along with that, that maybe sometimes in order to help people land a point, I might speak in hyperbole and jokes.
Just a little bit sometimes, maybe.
But did we understand the point and the moral of the fable? We did. No. Well, then because shut the fuck up.
Autistics on the other side of the spectrum need absolute accuracy and clarity in every word. Just me.
It's not just you. No, it is not just you. Dahlia did the same to me recently, and it did help me land a bit that I am currently working on by clarifying the actual biology of the birds and how they release their air, which is not simply and always through the cloaca. They do, in fact, of course, which I indicated, and I would think so because I hear crows often release air through their throats. On very other rare occasions, they do release air through those two little holes that look like nostrils on their beaks. Moreover, when there is an air that is recycled through their body, which they do on purpose as part of flying, they poop out of their cloaca. They poop that extra air out.
Why are we talking about bird farts?
Well, Dahlia
Is this a long story?
did not like that I was suggesting that birds just take a breath and fart it out. She was very upset. She was like, that doesn't seem right. She looked it up. She was like, no, see, that's not what happens. They take a breath, they let out most of it, but if they're flying and they need to recycle one of their breaths because they're doing something else like flying or fucking or eating something or whatever, then that second breath will come out of their cloaca and after it's done being recycled, and then that is the flight fart, as I have just named it just now. Dibs, TM. I put it in an envelope and I mailed it to myself already.
Thank
in
you
a sassy
breakdown. I'm still not quite following what the point was, but I also don't care. So I think we can move on and talk about ableism.
You're doing ableism at me right now. Right now.
I'm just navigating our conflicting access needs in the moment.
The point being,
boundary.
No. The point, and I have one, and I had one because it related to the thing that we were talking about before about having to get every piece of what is being said in the detail right. When if the moral of the story is, hey, you're walking through a cloud of bird farts right now. Really, do we need to get into the back and forth about how much of that was a first or a second breath of air? Does it matter at that point? Should we not maybe just consider the fact that the birds are farting all over everybody all the time? That's all I was saying. And so in the discussion, I'd prefer not to as well. But in the discussion that we had earlier,
and yet
in which
15 minutes talking about bird farts,
I was very aware of the folks who were being kidnapped, the delivery folks who were being kidnapped, and I was very aware of the white folks who were poisoning food. I wanted to just be very clear, right, about where it was happening, what state, and under what circumstances. She is from Oregon. It happened in Indiana. It wasn't, you know what I mean? But it's not like it didn't happen. It's not like I'm just like sitting around going, I don't know, just to do.
It's a far stretch from me talking about someone who gave you some cucumbers out of their backyard garden. But yes, to then get to the delivery driver who actively poisoned someone's food. Not quite.
It's a fast stretch, not a far stretch, because if they have a Trump flag up too, the idea that if you happen to be a Mexican, they might not have, or they're calling you a Mexican as they do to every Latino in the world, they might not have put something on that you don't want to be eaten. I'm just saying until the political temperature cools down a little bit. If there's somebody with Trump flags,
about people
maybe don't know my mom.
Speaking of living in areas where they do have neighbors and that they have maintained some rapport. But anyway, yes, bird farts, sure. Okay. So some of us need to be hyperbolic. Some of us need to be very accurate, and we can navigate and find ourselves somewhere in the middle and understand that we all have different needs. However, is yelling racial slurs in the middle of a British Oscars or whatever it was an access need?
BAFTA.
Is that an access need?
BAFTA. Well, it depends. Not.
We know what happened. Do we need to say what
yes,
happened?
I do. So two folks, Delroy Lindo and Michael Jordan, not that one, Michael B. Jordan. He just threw that B in there so that you wouldn't think it was the other one. Were on stage at the BAFTAs which is the British Academy Awards. And there was an actor in the audience with see, now I just forgot what it's called.
Tourette syndrome.
Thank you. I was gonna say a palsy. That is very broad and not specific enough. Tourette's. And so the Tourette's, for those who are aware, and I did my extra research this morning so that I would not be talking hyperbolically today, is a thing that if you have tics, there's nothing you can do. You have the tics. It doesn't mean you want to say what you're saying. It doesn't mean you want to say the things that are the most inappropriate. What may also be happening is that you are thinking, ooh, you know what the inappropriate thing to say would be? And then your mouth starts doing it real loud, especially if you want it to be real quiet, right? And I also spent many, 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 many years working with what they used to call the mentally disabled. I hate that very much. They were people with Down syndrome. And sometimes people with Down syndrome also have autisms. And if they do, they may see things very literally and say things very literally. And maybe when I was introducing my father to some of the people, they said, "Hello, Black people," said one person. Guess what? Was it awesome? No, that's a little cringe. Were they trying to be an asshole? No, they were not. Was this now what happens now that here's where my problem is, okay? Not that a white man who is trying to hold his damn tongue and has Tourette's sees two black men, very black men, on stage and screams out N-words with a very hard R, and then sits there doing the things and trying to cover his mouth and, leaves and what have you. Okay. Hey, listen. I went to see Cats. I threw up in the foyer. Like, things happen to us. Okay. We can't control everything that's going on all the time. All right. Here's what can be controlled though. The press edited out of the BAFTAs the many, 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 many mentions of freeing Palestine. Those all somehow, none of us saw it. Nobody seen it. But I woke up to the British press, the American press, Facebook, and every white liberal in America calling me the N-word with a hard R. Yay! Okay, you're doing it wrong. See, we're missing it. We're missing the moral. This was not comfortable for anybody there. And now you made it a whole public mess where this disabled man has to make some kind of a statement. And now these two black dudes got to let this guy off the hook because it's their industry and their cohorts at work. And now these idiots are going to be having debates about whether or not the white man should be up on a pole, which is not at all the thing, because that would be ableism. And so for me, it is not as complicated as it would say. It is nuanced. Like, all of these are nuances within. It is not complicated. The BAFTAs, the Independent, the New York Post, Fox, and consequently Facebook and every social media that is putting this out all over Black
Everyone
Americans
you just named
now,
is an actual capitalist. You and I are not.
that are traumatizing Black Americans
Probably
by
black folks in the UK
having
as
this
well.
happen to Delroy Lindo, who is known to corner a motherfucker if they say something stupid to him in front of people. And Michael B. Jordan, who is carrying on the blackest cast in the history of the United States in the Black Panther movies, that these two dudes got to not while out. And all of Black America got to be knowing about this.
And black people in the UK.
And black people in the UK. And black people in Africa. And black people in South Africa. And black people in, name a place.
The whole world.
This the Will Smith slap. White people so happy to see this shit and put it out again and again and again and again. Oh, look at this black on black crime. Look at what y'all said. Look at what y'all did. It's not black on black crime in this case. Look at this racialized harm that, as an incident, certainly for the people in the room and the people at whom it was directed, being able to address it together in a way that is meaningful and as humane to everybody involved, that has been destroyed by those capitalists. Humanity has been bloodied and left in the jowls of the capitalists to squeeze out all of the fucking anger that they can all over the internet and all over the world. And the call to destroy a disabled, I don't even know who it was, actor, producer, I don't know who it was, I don't care.
He's an activist whose life story was the movie about his life story was nominated for something in Berlin, I believe.
Dear God. That is so much more nuanced and less complicated, people. Jeez, listen, I don't know. I know we're all very upset. I know we're all very upset.
What did that change for you in your analysis?
This is somebody who's, again, we're talking about people who are on the same damn team. It's gross. It's not cool. It's not okay. There should be accountability, but it should be person to person to person, plus a public statement, plus this is why we made the movie, plus this is what we're trying to do. This is how complicated inclusion is, say the BAFTAs. But for them to be filming that incident and then broadcasting it, that is the problem.
And couldn't bleep that but problem. Bleeped everything else. But bleeped Free Palestine multiple times.
You can't find Free Palestine, but you can hear that if you feel like it. That's crazy.
How thorough and grounded and compassionate and accurate all of what you just shared is.
And this was shared, and some of this was shared me by Black folks with Tourette's. I want to be clear about that as well.
Absolutely.
Okay.
And that's who we need to be listening to in this moment, right? My questions are, as I understand it, the movie is called I Swear, and the movie is about his life story as an activist for folks with Tourette's, and that he should be able to go out and live his life and not have to apologize for the impact of his verbal tics on the people around him. So the questions I started wondering are, because we know there's a lot of gendered and racialized discrepancies in how various physical health and mental health conditions are diagnosed and treated and held in the world. So I'm curious, are there similar rates of racial slurs as verbal tics among people of color as there are among white folks? Because these words do come from somewhere. You didn't just magically make up a word that happens to be a racial slur, right? They come from the world, and also they're in your brain to begin with. And I understand there's a cognitive thing around what's the most inappropriate thing in the circumstance, and that is what primes the brain to then get stuck on this word, right? Like, I understand that's part of the mechanism happening here.
Could be. Sometimes it's nothing to do with anything that is happening in the present at all. And yes.
Yet in this circumstance, it was explicitly used in the presence of two Black people being on the stage. That
Absolutely, it
wasn't
was.
coincidental, right? They didn't coincidentally say that word at a different time in the ceremony when there were no Black people on stage. So I'm curious, like, is there a difference in racial slurs as tics among people of different racial and ethnic groups? Are women as likely to use racial slurs as tics as men? Are Black people as likely as white people to use them? I don't know. I couldn't find any research on that. I'm curious, because we are all socialized by white supremacy, that the reason these words exist and are as impactful and harmful as they are is because of the systems that we live within. And so I guess there is some nuance for me there in thinking about, yes, we can understand this person may not be able to control it. And I did, as I was doing my research, I couldn't find any like studies, but I did find multiple threads of people with Tourette's talking about their coping strategies for changing their most problematic tics into words that are less offensive or inoffensive. And again, I don't know enough to know who has a mental plasticity to be able to do that and who doesn't, and I'm sure it changes. And I think the activist himself even spoke to being in a situation with that much like pressure and visibility was likely going to activate and heighten some of his tics. And it looks like there are strategies some folks can use to actively try to change those words so they're not causing harm. So for me, there's a difference between going out in the world and knowing that this is a likelihood and taking the steps you can to minimize the impact you're creating, and going out into the world and being like, I can't control it, so I'm just going to cause harm wherever I go, and everyone should have to deal with it. And I haven't watched the movie. I'm sure it's not that blatantly as what he said, but there is an aspect of coddling of white masculinity and the ability to cause harm and not ever have to be accountable for the harm that you create that still feels present here to some extent for me. And and working through my own ableism in the places where I still need to process through things.
Yeah. I mean, I understand the sting, certainly, right? I'm not suggesting it doesn't sting. The harm, again, is being caused by the capitalists involved. It's not being caused by them. They didn't cause harm. What part of what the fuck they did is going to stop either Michael B. Jordan or Delroy Lindo from continuing to go get their Grammys? Like, that's not, or their Grammys, their Oscars. You know what I mean? That's not going to happen. These dudes are good. They're good, right? They get called that in movies. They get called, you get called names all day online. Read the comments. Like, they're good. They're okay. Is it embarrassing? Yes. Should it have been edited out and addressed? Yes. That's not to do with anybody's disability. That's not to do with anybody being positioned where they are in society because we live in a white supremacist society. That's got to do with the moneymakers, the capitalists. I don't care what color they are. Could have been whoever. I'm not even going to guess. At the switchboards, making the decision at each one of those places that I named, and they may have, and very likely, put some Black woman, put some Indian woman in charge of, right, making that call, or they made the call and then they say, okay, take the hit, and we're going to promote you to culture and blah 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 blah. You get to write for Page 6, right? That's their system. Their system's disgusting, and anytime they can reinforce the devaluing of humanity by exacerbating, again, our fears and anger toward one another, they're going to do it, and they're doing it now, right? Like, the other thing that I saw that to me is just wild is the level of upset and discourse about Black Americans who are by and large referring to themselves as foundational Black Americans in these discussions, reacting to African and Haitian, Dominican, other Black communities nationalities who are here in the United States. And these folks continuing to express ideas of white supremacy or frameworks of white supremacy in order to distance themselves from their own blackness, knowingly or not, subconsciously or consciously. Getting into like big old debates with people about it and then coming out with public statements against. Oh, we got to talk to the Haitian community. Oh, we got to talk to Latinos for Trump. Oh, why? No, you don't. No, you don't. Why you got to talk to Sambo? What for what? That does not help anything. And in fact, I'm not interested to think Haitians are doing anything. A Haitian lady, young person, on a podcast said some nonsense, very coded to get clicks, and is now getting clicks behind it. What are we doing? Where's the analysis on right? Like one of these is meant to antagonize such that the point is to get more attention on it. And she's going to try and get her name out by shitting on black people because she can, right? One is trying to not shit on people and trying to advocate for people. And because of their disability, the circumstance created a horrible impact on 3 people, plus an audience in a room full of people. And that's it. And then the press went, ooh.
I believe there was a black woman to whom the same thing happened, who's not been getting quite as much coverage as Michael B. Jordan.
And okay, right? So guess what?
To not minimize her impact.
Right? The yes and of it, though, right? Does that also not suggest that perhaps this has to do with the disability and the person seeing what they're seeing and them being where they are? What are we doing right now? That's the part that I'm just like, yo, bruh. Like, are we really having a conversation about humanity and the impacts, or are we really just trying to find the most shocking and titillating ways to one-up one another and be the most leftist or be the most beautifulist or whatever? And in the meantime, ultimately, the lesson for those of us who happen to fit the definition that we can take from all of it is that no matter whose season it is, we're hunting the disabled, we're hunting the Chinese, we're hunting the Mexicans, we're hunting the Ecuadorians, we're hunting Nicaraguans, we're hunting the Haitians. It's nigger season at the end of the day, every day, all the time, because that is the basis of the United States. And again, that push for cheap or free labor in this country, and has been and continues to be, including through the prison industrial complex. And so while that is the circumstance under which we live, I really wonder about the media literacy of moments like this when we start sliding into discussions about how bad it hurt the Black Panthers' feelings to be called a name by a disabled person who could not say the word, and then start making it international discourse and fodder for white people. Like, what are we doing? That's what upsets me.
Supremacy, domination, and control. Kind of comes back around to that.
That upsets me. But you know what? I feel bad for all of them. And I'm going to watch Sinners again, and I want to see his movie now.
We could watch it. We could watch it.
No, I don't want to watch it. I don't want to do that.
No? Oh, okay.
No, I just want to watch it. Not for content.
Maybe. If we just go back 1 second.
Let's do it.
If we just go back 1 second.
Okay, what's the movie called?
We went from the BAFTAs this thing that happened at the BAFTAs to the prison industrial complex in the US, and you lost me.
Yes.
Like, I think I followed, but I also didn't quite travel from the BAFTAs in the UK to the prison industrial complex in the US.
Yeah. While I am being squared up against, we are being squared up against by internet leftists, right? About the idea of whether or not we are capitalists by trying to find and use whatever mechanisms we can to spread the word of building solidarity. And these are the two faces that you see, and and the idea that as you see or see our faces or hear our voices, your first thought is, oh, you're trying to exploit the movement. Like, what movement are you part of? What are you talking about right now? Right? But that the expectation is free labor. Oh,
Okay.
so I'm supposed to just do this for free? Huh.
Yes.
So we're supposed to incur all sorts of sexism, misogyny, white supremacy, all kind of shit that is going to land on us because we're the ones saying it out loud. We're supposed to just do that for free? That's interesting. That's a take. And then if you do get paid,
We're supposed to eat
right?
our moral righteousness. That's what we're supposed
Exactly.
to feed the children.
Pay your
Feed the
bills with your
children
moral
moral
righteousness.
righteousness.
And then if you do get paid, then it's like, well, you're a millionaire. It's not going to hurt you. So, oh, well, so you just deal with that. Okay. I disagree completely. This is not how this is supposed to go. It has to be dealt with, but that's an internal thing that did not need to be broadcast or brought to my attention level at all, because I'm living here trying to figure out how to feed my child by making words out of my mouth hole. And the next thing available, if they get their way, not to me personally, I don't think it's personal, but could they use another prisoner to keep their prison industrial complex flowing? Do they look toward particular communities to see that happen? Yeah, they need free labor. So anytime somebody asks me to be doing free labor, right, that I'm not volunteering for, right? This I recognize, not because it's a you me thing. You me having these discussions, that's normal. This is a public you me thing. This is labor that, because it will be broadcast, is free. You can find it on a free source. I know you can. You ain't even got to be subscribed to YouTube to be able to see it if you're really interested. But if you're commenting on ads on Facebook, you clearly have the internet. Okay? It's free to you.
The internet? You gotta pay for the internet, as do we.
Hey,
that's an operating cost.
They pay in the same. They pay in the same
now.
operating things as we are. The information to the person who's questioning it is free. Here's the thing that's not free: what it will have cost my nervous system, the occupation of space, time, and thought, and reminding that the need to perpetually remind myself to try to navigate it in a way where, if trying to be in this authentically is what those folks are after, suggesting that dominating and, oh, you doing it wrong, may not be the practice in which you want to be involved with elder queers who are trying to move the movement forward in the most radical ways that they possibly can imagine. Like, I don't think that we're having the same conversation then. I think I get confused. It does make me want to readjust and say it again. And after, as you said, right, after two comments, it's like, okay, on a personal level, now I got to let that go, right? On a level of a person who is perpetually in the investigatory process of this work and is a documentarian to try to elicit the moral structures of, or to illuminate, rather, the moral structures that have kept me alive, right? And have kept the practice alive, and I've been told have made a difference, right? And we have been told, as we have built this practice out, have made a difference. That's labor, yo. That's labor. That's labor. It comes with a cost. It comes with a cost. And when it's offered in this way, it's done from a place of generosity. It is not from benevolence. That's not the point, right? We're not buying tickets to heaven. The point is for us to find ways to move together in solidarity, to extract ourselves from that system of capitalism. And P.S., if we're having this conversation on Apple, Facebook, and Spotify, we are not free yet, my dog. None of us. That's all. That's why it connected to the prison industrial complex for me. I am very autistic.
That made a lot more sense. No, that was excellent and very helpful. I'm glad I asked because I appreciated understanding the. It was like 10 minutes of content. You said you made that link in like one sentence. I was like, hold on, what? But yes, absolutely.
Remember how I told you sometimes I think in paragraphs and that I don't understand how people don't?
Yeah.
Yeah. I think in colors and paragraphs. I don't know how to do it the short way.
Well, that's how we figure out how to navigate these things together, is asking questions and being willing to be curious and understand where the other perspectives are coming from, and not just jumping to supremacy, domination, control to prove I'm the rightest because, or I have the hot take, I got to get out first, or whatever.
Oh, I took a breath when I read that comment too. I took a breath. I was like, hold on.
I don't know.
Are they trying to be an asshole? And they weren't. So that's when I was like, okay, let me just say, you're invited. Come on. Like, if you want to really engage, we could really engage.
Also,
and that's when it was like,
if you need a scholarship, we have scholarships we're offering as well. If you can't afford the $10, we're here for community access.
We got
we're
you.
Just trying to honest, fair exchange of value instead of that mentality of coercing labor out of other people for free, or pretending we live somewhere we don't, where we can magically feed our children and stay housed without income.
And dead ass, if that commenter or anybody else, if you really do have movement strategies that you are trying to push forward, that you're in workshops, you're at things, you're providing a thing that you've got people there, you've got a network, and it can just be elevated. It could be 5 of you, okay? And you've been going for at least 2 or 3 months doing the work that you're doing, and you really, 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 really want to share about it, please, please, please leave it in the comments. Reach out to us at info@strategyandsolidarity.org. And what we will do is we will not only field the comment, but if it is real and you are coming from a genuine place, I would love to have a conversation with you to elevate the project that you're doing and to move it forward. Because again, the whole point of all of this is about trying to build a network of solidarity, because the state no longer has us. To the degree that they did, they do not. And so ain't nobody coming. Ain't nobody here but us. So we got to take care of ourselves and each other. There's nothing else to do. And
there's not currently a way to do that with no money. Like,
no. That's just an exchange of energy.
Stay in our houses with no money. Like, pretending there's a way to do this with zero exchange of physical money, or I guess it's all digital money now. It's just, that's not where we live right now.
No, listen. Let me say this about that too. Yeah, I love rent. I'm a musical kid. Also, get the fuck out or pay your rent. Like, what are we doing? What are we talking about right now? Unless the state is offering rent subsidy, you can't just. What do you want? Like, what's happening? The movie is because these two rich white guys want to stay in their loft, and so they're like writing songs about all the poor people they live with. What's happening? I love that. I love that play. I love that play. But it's not ethically sound.
Well, life is
what are
not
you
ethically
exchanging?
sound.
What's the energy you're giving to the people with the building? Benny needs something. Benny needs a taste. All right.
Life is not ethically sound. You're not going to find perfection out there anywhere. We're just all trying to survive and get by. And the more we can, like, honestly just reckon with the reality in which we live. I'm not saying accept it or say it's okay or justify or enable harm. I'm just like, accept the reality in which you live, and then you can figure out how to move within it. Pretending or demanding or wanting it to be different than it is does not get you anywhere. It does not lead you to strategies that create that. You got to reckon with the reality of where we actually are, and then you can figure out where you're trying to get and how you can get there. It doesn't come because you want it, and that would be a whole other episode talking about entitlement. That supremacy energy and that entitlement energy are kind of the two biggest pandemics that keep us from making more progress.
Yeah, land ownership is bad, but you gotta wet Benny's beak if you want Maureen to have a performance space. He's gonna help pay for another one. He wants to build a whole thing where we're there recording and everything, and have a whole art center. And you're pissed, and you're playing your little guitar and shooting your heroin, and your friend with no talents trying to make a movie. What are we doing?
Surviving imperfectly.
You'll see, boy. All right. Thank you.
I think that's a show.
For joining us. That's a show. Can't end better than that. If you are interested in being a part of the community and joining the app, we would really love to see you there.
.org.
If you would like to join us in the true conversation about conflict resolution in anti-fascist spaces,
strategyandSolidarity.org.
And you're listening to this. Do it. Oh, it comes out early if you're in the app, and then they get to you get to see it early or hear it early. That's if right. You like that.
Just join us, strategyandSolidarity.org.
I can't stay on the tracks anymore. All right, we'll see you next time. I can't find the stop button. Oh, there it is. God, stop. It won't stop.